Alright guys, so we all know there's a lot of challenges you have to figure out if you want to make dropshipping work. You've got niche research, product research, you need to have your store set up right, but there's one challenge in particular that's a pretty massive challenge and it's often overlooked, that if you want to have long-term huge success, you need to focus on this one thing. Alright guys, what's going on? I'm Braden, Wuerch. If this is your first time to my channel, make sure to hit subscribe. I continue to over-deliver insane value to y'all every day to grow you personally and financially as well. Alright guys, so today I want to talk about something very, very important that is not talked about very often on YouTube. And this is one of the biggest challenges if you do want to have long-term success with dropshipping and e-commerce period. And it's a pretty big challenge that you do need to overcome. Yes, you need to know niche research, you need to know product research, how to find good niches and products. You need to know how to brand your store, how to design your store right. These are all challenges for beginners and you do need to focus on these, especially if you are a beginner. But if you do want to have long-term success, then you need to go ahead and know how to tackle this pretty big challenge, and it's a challenge that will stay with you, over the course of your dropshipping career. So this is something that for well over a year now, I've had to focus on with my dropshipping stores. I've had quite a bit of success with dropshipping, but this has probably been the biggest bane and the biggest challenge I've had during my time as a dropshipper in e-commerce. And it's not something that's impossible to get over, but it is something that you do need to focus on. So first, before we get into this, obviously you need to go ahead and figure out how to market. You need to go ahead and figure out how to use Instagram influencers right, or how to do Facebook ads right. Whichever way you decide to market your products, you need to go ahead and figure that out first, because this challenge isn't even going to be a problem for you if you don't figure that out. This is after you really start making some numbers and you really start getting heavily into drop shipping. This is something that from the very beginning, essentially, of you making sales, you're going to need to go ahead and focus on this. So before we get into what the major challenge is, I need to go ahead and tell you guys what the leading up challenges to this problem is, so you can actually go ahead and really know when it's coming and really when to focus on it. So number one is progression. I see so many people getting into drop shipping and they focus solely on Instagram influencers, or they focus solely on Facebook ads. If you're going to do huge numbers and numbers for a long period of time, consistent over $1,000 a day, that's what we're talking about, is how to consistently every single day do at least $1,000 a day or more. And that's progression. So many people don't focus on going ahead and learning new ways to market their products. So go ahead and find one that works and just stick with that. Yes, you need to find one that works, dive heavy into that and focus heavy on that. But once you have that up and running and you've really figured out that method, whether that be Facebook ads or Instagram influencers, you need to go ahead and find other ways to market. So there's email marketing, there's Google AdWords, Snapchat ads. There's so many different ways to market your products that not many people are talking about. There's a lot of people doing Reddit marketing. I mean, there's so many different ways that if you want to do consistent long-term big numbers, you're going to need to go ahead and find other avenues to market your products. This is how I've been able to do over $500,000 on just one of my stores in the last 8 months, is because I gone ahead and diversified my marketing campaigns. I've got really, really heavy Facebook ads, but I also use Google AdWords, email campaigns, and a few other small avenues for marketing products. So you definitely need to go ahead and focus on progression. That's the first thing. If you don't have that, you will not last in this game. You won't last very long. So definitely focus on progression. So the big problem we're going to talk about today is staying current with the Facebook algorithm and with Google algorithm, and essentially all the algorithms having to do with the different advertising platforms. But today we're going to hone in on Facebook, because this has been a challenge of mine, how I've been able to essentially stay consistent and do big numbers every day. I've had to figure out the Facebook algorithm changes. I've taken big dips at certain points when the algorithm change happened, because my current strategy wasn't perfect for the new algorithm changes. So then I had to go ahead and do somewhat of a 180 test to find the new algorithm change, what that consisted of, and how to beat it, essentially. And so if you don't focus on staying current with the different advertising platform system, and the different algorithm changes, you will be left in the dust. And a lot of times, so many drop shippers out there essentially do get left in the dust. You'll see so many people that will have high numbers, and then it'll just drop and they'll be dead in the water. They'll sell their store, which is fine. They'll end up making good money off the store. But if you want to have a consistent business that, for years you can go ahead and do consistent numbers, you need to go ahead and focus on the algorithm changes, and you'll feel them coming. When they come, you'll know it. I've had so many people back in January when the January algorithm change happened. I had a ton of people hitting me up. Then last month when last month's big algorithm change happened, I had so many people hitting me up with that. And I essentially had to do the same thing as everybody else. I had to go ahead and find out, what the change consisted of. Now, myself, along with other drop shippers that do pretty massive numbers, fortunately, we're able to talk to each other, and we're testing with quite big budgets on, what works and what doesn't work when the algorithm change happens. And so we've gone ahead and figured out what's working right now. And the good news is that the algorithm change is starting to stabilize. Facebook ads last month were churning quite a bit. There's quite a bit of churn. There's quite a bit of instability. And if you've been in the game for a little bit, I'm sure you notice that you might have a really good day and then a bad day. Back in the day, this didn't used to happen. Back in the day last year, especially around this time last year, if you had a $5,000 day, the next day on a bad day might be a $4,700 day. Then on a good day might be a $5,300 day. It was very consistent. You saw very few massive changes. Recently, over the past few months, it's been, a good day might be, $3,000 and a bad day might be $1,200. So there was quite a bit more churn. Fortunately, it's starting to stabilize. That churn and that instability and the consistency is starting to change. Now the consistency is coming back. It's still on its way back. There's still some inconsistency, but it is starting to come back. I don't know if this is because Facebook has essentially heard everybody complaining about it or what it is, but something is working out now that the consistency is coming back. But even with that being said, with the recent algorithm changes, let's just take it back a few weeks before the stability started coming back. One way we found to combat it is leaving more time for your ads to optimize. So if you know my Facebook ad strategy, a big pillar of it is that every 2 to 3 days, you'd go ahead and raise the budget vertically of your winning ad sets. And then obviously you'd be scaling horizontally and all of that. Now, it's best if you leave a couple more days if you're doing any big budget changes. If you're raising 50% or more, or any big budget changes, any changes really essentially to the ad itself, leave more time for it to optimize. Don't raise it 2 days later. Maybe wait 3 to 7 days later. Let it optimize, and you'll see the performance come back. The next day after you raise the budget on an ad set, you might see the performance drop. Well, the next day should get a little bit better. The next day a little bit better, and that's the ad set now re-optimizing and relearning at the new budget. What we figured out is that now it just needs a little bit more time to optimize than what it used to need now. I know this can be frustrating because it could potentially lead to more time to scale vertically, but this is why I preach so much to scale horizontally. And now the part 2 of this, how to beat it, is lookalike audiences and retargeting ads are more and more paramount. So lookalike audiences and retargeting have always been a huge staple to having a successful Facebook ads marketing strategy for your business. It's now even more important. Lookalike audiences are insanely important. If you can go ahead and scale to many ad sets of successful lookalike audiences, you can go ahead and kill it. This is how you can have several ad sets that are performing very well. Well, back in the day, you could go ahead and use lookalike audiences with your data from the past 6 months, the past 3 months. Now what we're figuring out is even better is if you go ahead and you use your most recent data. So what I've been doing is I've been doing my past month to past 2 months of sales for my lookalike audiences. So go ahead and refresh your data for lookalike audiences rather than using super old data. If you only have super old data, then you got to use what you have. But to make lookalike audiences extremely efficient right now, use your very recent data and that'll help. And then obviously retargeting ads. Retargeting ads have always been very powerful when you're just driving your past traffic and your past add to carts back to your store with a better offer. Those have always worked out well. So these are ways to combat it. The biggest thing is just leave more time for optimization. But if you're a beginner, I want you to still focus on all the beginner things. In order to get to this point to where this is even a challenge, you need to start making sales. You got to have the good niche research, the good product research, store design, know how to brand, everything like that. But when you get to this point that you are running heavy marketing campaigns on Facebook, you are going to need to worry about the algorithm changes because they directly affect you, essentially. They affect your store, they affect your sales. And you'll notice this as you really get going and have consistent sales. You'll see when an algorithm change happens. And recently, they've been pretty massive algorithm changes. So I want you guys to stay current with it. Just know how to beat it. This has become essentially my big job for the past, I would say, 6 months now. In order to keep my sales consistent, I've had to go ahead and really focus on how to keep beating the algorithms, and I've successfully been able to do that. For my store that's done over $500,000, I have consistent days, and I've had consistent days for well over the last 8 months now, and it's because I stay up to date with the algorithm changes, and I'm really involved with the marketing. If you go ahead and figure that out, you will be able to last in this game and last for a long time. So now this is something that I'm obviously passing down to the Dropship Fortune students, and eventually bringing to y'all is that you need to go ahead and know the algorithm changes. Listen to someone you trust, or figure it out on your own on how to go ahead and beat the different algorithm changes. But I hope you guys found insane value in this video. I continue to over-deliver insane value to you guys every day to grow you personally and financially as well. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Leave down in the comments if you've seen some of these algorithm changes happen and you got affected by them. If you've got any questions about what's currently going on, like I said, it's a lot better right now. So this is a great time to be testing products if you are a beginner. And if you've been in the game for a while and you're needing more winning products, this is a great time to test. There's a lot more consistency right now. But if you have any questions about that, leave a comment down below. But keep grinding, y'all, and I'll see you in the next video.